Hello humans, Tuesday, April 7th, 7:04 a.m. Pacific Coast Time. United States, planet Earth. We're going to start changing how we think about things, alter our, let me turn the gain down a bit, there we go. Alter our understanding of ourselves within our environment here. And concentrate on what's going to be important for us. So this is really sort of a response to a lack I perceive. Okay, so this is entirely self-generated that way, and I may be misreading and so on, but some of the podcasters I listen to, Sean Ryan, I really like him. Because of his service and everything, right? And I identify with a lot of the damage that was done to him by that. Anyway, I am Sean Ryan and a bunch of these other podcasters, in my opinion, are lacking in their vision of where we're at right at the moment. And so they're seeing in my opinion, metaphorically, they're sitting on a shore, looking across a bay, and seeing a house on a promontory. And it's overcast, but there's the sun coming up underneath the clouds because of the angle and stuff. And one side of that house is extremely bright and sharp. And in this early morning light, they're seeing that side of the house that's sort of facing them, a little bit oblique. In sharp relief, and in seeing it, they see a sort of a halo effect from the early morning sun that casts a little bit of illumination that seems to go to the other sides of the house, but not much of it is illuminated. And in my opinion, that's their vision, right? They're not seeing the structure per se. What they're actually doing is reacting to the energetics of the light striking that one side without considering the rest of the structure, what's going on in it, how it's not illuminated, but yet nonetheless is real and is there and is participating in what they're looking at. So Sean and other people are saying that Trump's a bad guy, he's blowing the fuck out of Iran and all of this kind of stuff, right? Some things you need to note about Trump tactically before we proceed is that while these things are true in their minds and they perceive them to be factually true, they're misreading what's going on because there's further layers of depth. There's a much larger structure there. And what they see as Trump attacking Iran is really Trump attacking a global power structure that has as one of its remaining key strong points a control via the mullahs through over Iran, which is a very, as we know now, as has been demonstrated by this war, very strategic location and resources. So this is much wider than simply Trump being supposedly baited into it by Israel. And in my opinion, you have to understand that a few things about Trump tactically. When he says he's going to do something like, really it's kind of stupid from a war viewpoint. You don't want to tell your enemy what you're going to do, but in this case he actually does. Because A, it'll tell the Iranian people, hey, if you live near these places, maybe you should get the fuck out of there. And B, it's going to separate the Iranian people that are not supporters of the mullahs and give them strategic advantage, right? They'll know what's coming. They're going to know how the evil forces that rule over them are going to be damaged, and they can maybe take advantage of that. Also, bear in mind something that most people do not understand, okay? One of the oldest, and I'm talking about as old as even older than the Ethiopian communities of Christians, but one of the oldest communities of Christians originates in and is from Iran. And there are hundreds of different tribally affiliated, so to speak, or derived from tribal lineage and connection. But there are hundreds of very strong Christian communities in Iran, and the mullahs, ever since they've taken over 47 years ago, they've been doing everything that's not been very successful for them, and they won't allow true statistics to come out, but it may be that the Christian population is as much as 60% of Iran. But they won't let you know this, right? Because they want you to think of Iran as a completely Muslim country. And it's Persia, right? I hate to be that way, but that's how these people identify themselves. They're not Iranians. They say they've lived in Iran or were born there, but they're Persian. And it has to do with their ethnic affiliation. Okay, so Trump, in my opinion, is battling greater forces that we can call the City of London, but the City of London is a label applied to this global cabal cartel that has been dominating and hundreds of years and treating humanity as a bunch of meat animals, and they hurt us and so on. Maybe there's space aliens on the other side of this. We don't know who the fuck controls these guys. We're going to find out all of this stuff, right? I do not believe Trump acts alone. I think Trump is a political genius. I think he is a master at his craft, right? And that he was deliberately chosen, but I think that there's a very large team behind him that has some very sophisticated reasoning assets, okay? And that they've got a very strategic plan for what they're going to do. Now, a lot of this plan was seen in the data sets way back in like year 2000 through, well, from that point on. But from around 2003, it started getting clustering under what was later called the Israeli mistake set. Within that is a highly complex set of interlocking data sets describing various different aspects of what we're going through now. All of this stuff in Persia, all of the war in the Middle East, all of the changes that are resulting from that, the transference of wealth from one country to another, and this kind of thing as a result of the destruction of the pipelines and the physical crap there, is going to be, it is participatory, a lead-in to what's going to be occurring in Europe. So what you want to watch is the stresses that are being put on the NATO structure, which is controlled by the City of London, and their individual governments and their populations, especially relative to the migrants, okay, because of what's going to be occurring as the mullah regime fails and new political channels are revealed to us. And we'll see that all of a sudden, with the collapse of the regime, and I think it's probably just days away, we'll see funding sources being cut off everywhere for different aspects of the City of London group, which is 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 different organizations and groups, secret societies, and all of this kind of shit, right? And they used Persia, Iran, to as a routing point, a control point, a funding source, a point of dislocation, political unbalancing, all different kinds of things. As that shuts down, the money flow stops, and all different manner of things will start manifesting. So, you know, how soon will we be arresting George Soros and his son? I don't know. Will they survive the chaos of what's coming in Europe? So what in our data sets that were there in the year 2000, which made no sense then, we had these data sets about war, street battle war, not like tanks and that kind of thing, but like population versus population with basically handheld weapons of various different kinds, not many of them being guns. But anyway, we had these battles showing up in the data sets, starting in Ireland, and then quickly followed by Sweden, then back to England, and then back over to Northern Europe, including Germany and Northern France, and then France becomes this huge embroiled mass of all of this, of the most complex kind of fighting you've ever imagined. And basically what the data described was that there would be this group, okay? And the data described them as The Knob Boys, okay, that was the most prominent, these were the two most prominent words that I used to identify that set within the larger, and so the Irish and Knob Boys were in the data set, were in a subset of the larger Israeli mistake set. And the Irish Knob Boys actually referred to club fighters, and not like a boxing club, but like a stick, like a cudgel. And these things are called boysons. They're also called shillelagh. And so the data described the Irish returning to basically an IRA, Irish Republican Army, or in this case it'll be an Irish Revolutionary Army, because they're going to overthrow the Irish government itself, kick out all of the fucktards, this sort of thing. Anyway, street battles start. Irish kids getting a bunch of sticks and going and beating the crap out of a bunch of migrants. The migrants fight back. Misery, the migrants being pushed into corners. They try and fortify. There's siege mentality going on. Lots of reporting of this. All of a sudden, the whole world is looking at Ireland. This is going to be following the collapse of the Mullah regime. And so everybody's looking at Ireland temporarily, and then it erupts in Sweden, much fiercer, much darker in Sweden. That in Sweden it starts literally people running out of the country. They can't get out of Sweden fast enough. All of these dark-skinned people, and they go south and flood the transportation system. There's breakdowns there. This is about the same time that Europe plunges into their shortage age, as the city of London loses all of its money flow, and they lose their their airplane fuel. All different kinds of things happen. All of this was described in data sets back in 2000. What is really interesting is that we're now actually having talk in mainstream media about Europe running out of jet fuel, and that was a big deal in the data sets, because that was part of the situation that allowed or facilitated or prompted the wave of migrants trying to drive out of the country, and then they can't get fuel, they can't get petrol, and so then the cars run out of gas and they just start walking, right? And so there's all these abandoned cars everywhere, buses even, and all this kind of stuff, and you got all these mobs of people walking through various countries trying to get the fuck out of these areas where they're being assaulted by the local population, only to find themselves being assaulted by the local population through which they're trying to leave. And this also spreads back to England. The English boys get really fierce. There's all different kinds of horror in the English streets. The English government falls. The English army rebels. There's fighting within the English army between foreign invaders made part of that army, with the local police fighting on their side because I guess they're woke, I don't know what the fuck, and the population and a lot of the patriotic English soldiers. And so the British Lion rises up, hungover, weak, and all of this kind of stuff, but it does rise. And so the English government falls. In the midst of all of this, all of these people, the Pakistanis and all of these guys, flee England like you wouldn't believe. They can't get out fast enough. They run up into the coast. There's fuel shortages. They start trying to get any kind of fucking boat to get out of there as much as they can. One of the horrors of that is that in the English battles since, maybe it was 2003, and see, none of this made sense in 2003 because it wasn't much known then, but it was still nonetheless being forecast that women in their 20s and younger would go through the streets with scissors and knives and cut the genitals off of the corpses. We'd have visions of these women running around, with big sacks of Pakistani dicks. And they won't care. If you're dark-skinned, you're going to get it, right? So there'll be problems with Hindus that aren't involved and this sort of thing, and there's going to be all kinds of ancillary casualties. I don't want to say they're innocent. Some of them will be, but nonetheless, there will be, the war is going to be ugly. It's going to be a huge, it's a genetic war, right? It'll be this population against another population because of genetics and circumstances and stuff. So You're actually going to see, I won't go into too many details there and too much of the political stuff. Nonetheless, this is what's going to be in store for Europe. In the data it said, it showed that it took like 10 years for all this shit to settle out. They would just, there'd be the couple of really fierce years, and then it's going to trail off for a few years. But it's going to be initiated by the period of the Israeli mistake, which we're into now. And we're getting closer to getting nuclear debris spread. And that pretty much finishes the wars when that happens. But I don't think we're going to actually get that aspect of it. I think actually that there's been enough discussion within the media about this potential for a dirty aspect to Trump's war that it's probably all in the language, not in the manifestation. In any event, so I got stuff I got to get done. So we're coming up to this very energetic time. It's going to hit the United States as well. We're in the process of this transformation. There's going to be and perhaps already is, because we don't get it reported to us correctly by the media, there's going to be how do I describe this? It's not, what it is here and there, spotty, irregular, stupid even, eruption of anti-U.S. and anti-government activity that will shade into violence here in the United States. Will it be sleeper cells? Some of it, yes. A lot of it will just be numbnut, purple-haired people that have their identity wrapped up in an ideology that's dying and is no longer supported. Funding for things like government protests here in the United States, propaganda is going to fail, the last of the mainstream media is going to collapse, and there won't be much in the way of supporting energy for the mind virus. It's going to leave these people in some real world of hurt. There's going to be a lot of acting out, and it should be relatively short-lived because of the backflow from that, the response at a society level. People just had it with all of this, liberal mental bullshit, and they're just not putting up with it anymore. So, going to be very energetic for these next couple of years. The economic aspects of it are going to hit us really hard in summer. So position yourself as best you can for that. It's going to be very unpredictable in many ways. Diversity seems to be a wise choice when facing uncertain times like this. But anyway, here we go, guys. Have a good rest of the month. And we should see the fall of the Iranian mullahs regime as a pivot, and also as like the kickoff. It's the initial point for history to start using as a peg for all of these other larger changes. And so the fall of the mullahs is actually a oh yeah, that's cool, let's go. It'll be superseded by much larger changes in humanity that will roll on and just overwhelm everybody in terms of both the volume, the depth of it all, and the speed at which it's going to hit us. Anyway, so hey, isn't that good news? But the Iranian war is short-lived. It's not going to cause it's not the trigger for World War III. It has nothing to do with, it has a lot to do with and is damaging Israel like you wouldn't believe. Millions of Jews are fleeing Israel. Israel is now the target, so they don't feel too safe there anymore. The whole structure of their social order is breaking down. And as they said, Israel was saved for last, and by the time we get to doing that, there isn't going to be much there anyway. So I'm actually very encouraged, right? We got a real rough patch here, but on the other side of it is, starting to walk into some lush fields, blue skies, hopefully no chemtrails, and sunny days. Yeah, just as sort of a postscript here, Sean Ryan really ought to interview Tom Luongo, who can lay out the geopolitics and explain how all these people are all interrelated and what the hell's going on. and increase Sean Ryan's vision here. His grasp of where we are in all of this, which he should appreciate, having been one of the operators and pawns in this giant, larger effort way back when. Anyway, guys, have a good day, week, and month, and the rest of the year, and hold fast to yourself. It's going to get even crazier.